This is the intro to Reagan Eats.
Hey y'all, it's Reagan back with another episode of Reagan Eats. On this episode, I'll be making Korean beef fried rice. This is my first time doing a voiceover, y'all, so please bear with me. But these are the ingredients, and I'll go into more detail of what I put into this recipe. So first, I start off by cleaning off my beef. As you see, I'll put that on the cutting board. I got 1 pound of country short rib. There's different cuts. I thought that this would be the easiest one to cut. While I was cutting it, I cut them into cubes, but later as I was cooking them, I realized that it would have been simpler to cut them in slices. And as you can tell, there was a lot of fat on this one, so I attempted to cut it off. Ended up not doing that. So that is one thing I will say, make sure you have a sharp knife, because cutting through the fatty, meaty parts of the meat will be really hard if you do not. But then I just cubed all of them all up, half an inch. Ended up having to cut them a bit smaller just so they were better sizes to eat later on, but you'll see that later in the video. So now I have all my beef in the bowl, and I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons because I have the pound. The recipe was cooking half a pound. Because I have a pound, I doubled up the sauces, so I did 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I did 2 tablespoons of sake. I bought any kind from Walmart. They just had one brand, so I wasn't choosy. I'm not really drinking it. And then I did 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. So then once all that is put inside the bowl, I stirred it all with my hands. Okay, so after I stirred it all and mixed it with my hands and everything was well covered, I covered the meat with plastic wrap and I put it in the refrigerator. Normally when I'm cooking meats that need to be marinated, I'll put it in the night before, but it didn't. So now while the meat is marinating, I'm going to cut up the veggies. So I have green onion, also known as cilantro. I cut up 3 pieces of that. Ended up just chopping it all off camera, the rest of it off camera, just to put in a Ziploc baggie, but I cut that. I also cut regular onions off camera because I do love onions. And then I cut 2 leaves of bok choy. As you see here, I kind of cut it like I cut collard greens and cut out the center, and then I chopped it up like so and placed that all into a bowl.
A few minutes later.
Okay guys, so I took the meat out of the refrigerator and I put it in a pan. So first I start off by heating the pan and adding peanut oil, because peanut oil is used in a lot of Asian dishes, and I had it from when I tried to make pancit before. And I know I'm saying that incorrectly, but I used that, so I was like, why not just try the peanut oil? So I put half a tablespoon of peanut oil in the pan and left the meat in there for 20 seconds on one side, and then I stirred it. The recipe says you don't have to cook it all the way, so as you can tell, there's a little bit of pink pieces, and again, I tried to cut the meat into a little bit smaller pieces because I realized how big they would be in my fried rice. So guys, the grease was really hot and I ended up popping myself.
To your regularly scheduled program.
So yeah, I ended up having grease pop on me, so I had to take a second for myself. But yeah, the meat is basically mostly done and it's beef, so if it's a little pink, that's fine. So I ended up putting it to the side, and then I added the vegetables into that same pan using the grease from the meat to cook down the veggies. So then once that was cooked down, I added in the chili paste into the sauce and stirred that around a little bit. And then it's good to use white rice that was already cooked and is left over. This is mostly a dish that you would make for your leftovers. So I stirred that around and made sure that rice was covered with all of the sauce, the chili paste, the vegetables, and all of that good stuff. So then once that was all covered, I took 2 eggs and I put those in the pan. I didn't mix them before, I just threw them in the pan, and then I mixed them while they were in the pan, kind of like when you go to the hibachi bar and they do egg roll. Yeah, that's what I did here. So I diced up the egg, and then once the egg was cooked all the way to what I was satisfied with, I decided to mix it in with the rice. So now that the eggs are cooked and I mixed that in, then the next thing I did was add the beef into the mixture. I lied, guys. I added some more soy sauce to the recipe. It calls for just a swirl around, so I added the soy sauce into the rice. And then I finally added the beef, and as you can tell, there were still some pink pieces, so I added it in there, and I made sure to cook it a little bit longer. I do eat meat medium well, so for me, pink was okay, but if you're a person who likes your meat cooked all the way through, make sure you cook it as long as you want. I like spice, so I decided to add a little bit more chili paste to my recipe than what it was called for, and then ended up adding more spice to it, so I added red pepper flakes as well to my recipe, as you'll see in just a few moments. So that was it. That was a really simple and easy dish that I cooked. It took me a good 30 minutes to make this meal, and it was really delicious. I did record myself eating afterwards, but I looked really bad, and I was still deciding if my new haircut was for me. And I just wanted to let you guys know that this meal was super delicious. I did get this recommended by a friend. When she tried it out, she did say it was a little bit salty, but when I tried it, I didn't taste it that much salt. I do tend to eat a lot of salt in general, so it might have just been a palate that I'm used to. The spice level was really good. If you're really into spicy food, I would recommend adding more than what I did. I added enough to where I was satisfied, but if I was like even more into spicier foods, I definitely suggest adding way more spice to it. But thank you guys for joining me on this episode of Reagan Eats. Join me back here next Thursday as I'll be trying out something else. Bye.